Welcome, everyone. I am so excited to present to you our next guest for our 7 Mountain Influencer podcast. Welcome to Melissa Tate.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Vibeke.
Thank you for being here and congratulations. It's your anniversary today.
Yes, it is. 14 years.
14 years and
14 years.
3 beautiful kids.
Yes, it's been a great marriage. So I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for the Lord for blessing us and bringing us together. So
that's so good. So this episode is, I was thinking about it before I went on, and like, I know this girl and this beautiful woman. I've known her for some years. So how shall I, pull the gold out of her? Because there's so many things. But I want to start just a little bit with your backstory. So tell me, like, how you grew up and where you grew up, and how did you come to the US?
All right. So I am from Zimbabwe. I was born and raised in Zimbabwe. And I came to the United States at the age of 19. I came to study. And basically, the Lord brought me here by faith because my mom, when I came, the time that I came to the United States, it was during an economic collapse that was happening in Zimbabwe. So my mom couldn't afford to send me to the United States for school. But by faith, she said, she declared that I would go to school and the Lord would provide, and the Lord did provide. So I paid my way through college by hard work and the grace of God. And I was able to graduate with a business degree. And then after I graduated, I got a job as an investment advisor. I worked in corporate America for about 3 years. And then I started my own business. And I started my business in e-commerce at a time when e-commerce was really exploding and really taking off. So I got in right at the right time. So my business just took off like a rocket. So by the time I was 27 years old, I was, I had a business that was doing 7 figures in revenue, and I had several employees, and I was traveling around the world, and I got married in that time, and I had children. So that's kind of where the basic story of my life. And then for now, I've kind of transitioned out of business, and I'm currently in the process of transitioning out of business and into politics.
So tell me a little bit about, because a lot of people here like, yeah, I did this and then I went to that. But, the transition is not always so easy as it looks from the outside. So for other people that are feeling God are calling them to different things. So how did you deal with that? You were already successful, you had money flowing, you were traveling, you had a happy marriage, you had kids, and then the Lord started to pull you into politics. Like, how did that happen?
Okay, so the way it happened was actually pretty interesting. So I had kind of given up on politics for the most part because I felt like, both parties were corrupt, and I didn't feel like any of them were offering anything that was good for the country. So I kind of checked out of politics, but President Trump caught my eye. And, after his first debate and all the fanfare that was around him, I kind of got interested in him. And I was like, this guy, is onto something. And I just felt very drawn to him. Yes. So I actually signed up for Twitter just to follow him and kind of follow what he was doing and follow his speeches and so forth. And once I got on Twitter, I started speaking out my own thoughts and commenting on all the political stuff that was going on in the country. So I started to gain a following. And before you knew it, I had, hundreds of thousands of followers, and people were calling me an influencer, and President Trump was retweeting my tweets. And before you know it, I was being invited to events, and I got invited to the White House. And the next thing you know, I'm taking a selfie with the President of the United States. So, and it just happened so fast. I was like, whoa, Lord, where are you taking me? So I've always felt very passionate about, what's going on in the country, just seeing the way America has just gone from like a very Christian Christ, because coming from another country where we didn't have the ladders of opportunities that you have in the United States, we didn't have a free society like you have in the United States. The fact that I was an immigrant who came here with nothing, $300 in her pocket, and within a relatively short time, I was able to make something of myself. That is something that is very unique to the United States.
Yeah.
So I love and I cherish America for that freedom, those Judeo-Christian value type principles that have made this country a very successful country, a free place where anybody can come and, pursue their dreams and become something. So now I'm starting to see that there's this narrative that's happening in the country where, we're moving away from the principles that made America great. So I've always felt this passion in my heart to speak up and to do something, do my small part in saving the American principles and the American ideals. So that's kind of what gave me that passion to get into politics.
Yeah.
And obviously I was in business, juggling having 3 kids. And Vibeke, you remember how that was. So, so it was very overwhelming, having to juggle 3 kids and have a business and, try to get into this new space of political commentary and events and all these things that were happening. So it's been quite a transition, and it hasn't been easy, but the Lord has just been, walking with me every step of the way and guiding me and opening up doors and shutting doors on the business side and opening up doors on the politics side. So I just know that God is steering me out of business and more into this position of like being an influencer and a political activist. So
yeah, but what made you like not give up? Because there's a lot of Christians, especially that listen to, the 7 Mountains message. There's a lot of them that say, I have a dream, I have a purpose, God wants me to do this. But then they are maybe not really stepping into the fullness. So I have watched you and I've seen you taking a step at a time. So what made you really go for it and not give up, even if it was hard with, juggling all the different roles?
Yeah, it was very hard. Well, what made me not give up was just the passion and the fire that the Lord has put in my heart for what I'm doing, because I feel like it's for a bigger purpose. It's bigger than me, because I feel like, the more we move away from the godly principles that this nation was founded on, the more we don't really have a future, because we're not going to have the freedom and the prosperity that the Lord has blessed us with, this great nation. So just that passion that is within me to say, okay, this is something that is just bigger than me getting a paycheck. This is a purpose that affects a lot of people. It affects my children. It affects my future. It affects the futures of so many people and the destiny of a country, so this is something that is bigger than myself. So it's something that I'm like, okay, I can't give up. I have to keep going. And there's been times when I wanted to give up because I'm just like, you know what, maybe I should just be a stay-at-home mom and just forget about everything. Forget about everything, because it just sometimes feels so overwhelming. But then I'm like, I can't do that because God has put that passion and that fire in me that, that feeling is fleeting. The next morning I feel energized and ready to go again. So
that's so good. We need different voices on all the different spheres. And I think now more than ever, especially people have seen what happened last year, like now more than ever, we need to be a voice on the different things that the Lord have put in our heart. So I just love to, see how you have that passion and that fire that, okay, it's not about me, it's about, those that come behind me, and I have to just get up and share my truth and my perspective.
Yes.
And then you started to feel that he told you to write a book.
Yes.
And then this came out this year. So tell me, what is this book about?
So basically, I'm going to give you, so it's called choice privilege, and it's basically a play on the words white privilege. And basically, I cross out where it says white because the premise of the book is that it's not the color of your skin that determines your destiny and the quality of your life, but it is the choices that you make. Because right now, what we're seeing, the narrative that is being pushed in media and in culture is that, if you are a certain color, if you're Black, you're oppressed immediately. You belong to this group of oppressed people. If you are white, you just belong to this group of privileged people. And everything is just being filtered through that lens. And it's something that is completely false because, as somebody who is Black myself, who came to the United States with nothing and just made good choices and was able to overcome and become something, make something of myself, not based on the color of my skin or any superficial feature about myself, but just basically making good choices. And it's something that my mom, instilled in me. Basically, she has always raised me to believe that, you know, um, I basically will get out of life what I put into it. And I can't be an entitled individual. I have to work hard. I have to pursue my dreams. I have to do what is right. I have to make good choices.
Yeah.
And because she instilled that in me, that's basically what I played out when I got in the United States. Just doing simple things, like going to school and becoming educated.
Yeah.
Getting married is a huge is a huge decision that determines poverty or not. Just being married, for example, will guarantee that you're 98% more likely to be in the middle class and not in poverty. So, just those basic choices that people make in life are really what ultimately determines your destiny and your the quality of your life, and not really the color of your skin. So I'm just, trying to dispel this myth of this group identity thing that is based on skin color, and to judge people based on the content of their character and not the color of their skin. So
Wow. And would you say that, because I've heard you talk about, being Black from Africa and being American born Black. What would you say? Is there any differences?
Well, there are definitely some cultural differences, and that's something that I talk about in the book as well, because we hear this narrative that the reason why there's such a huge wealth gap between Black Americans and let's say white Americans is because of the legacy of slavery. But actually, when I did research for the book, and I found out that post slavery, like shortly after slavery, Black Americans were succeeding, even far surpassing white Americans in certain vectors of success, post slavery. So I started to look into and dig into it and say, okay, so why is it that the wealth gap has happened now, hundreds of years after slavery versus, a few years after slavery, Black Americans were succeeding. And from my research, the conclusion I came to is that there was a major breakdown of the family that happened in the 1960s. And it was basically pushed by, the policies of the Democrat Party, which were mostly geared towards creating welfare and government dependency within the Black community. And that basically just destroyed the Black family. So if you look and see, prior to the 60s, Black families, you had a mom and a dad and children, and there was an 80% marriage rate within the Black community. You fast forward to 2021, and you see that 73% and more Black children are born in a home that doesn't have a father in the home.
Wow.
So when you see that breakdown of the family, and then you start to see the problems that arise from that, no matter what color you are. You look at the fatherlessness statistics, you see that, children who come from a home that doesn't have a father, are more likely to go to prison, are more likely to be violent, are more likely to be drug users, are more likely to be homeless or alcohol abusers. So there's all these things that come with the breakdown of the family. So when you look and compare, African American culture to just basic African culture, I still think that Africans still really have their families intact, and you see more of like a family type of value within the African community versus the African American community. So there's that breakdown of the family that I think really needs to be looked at as an issue that is causing a lot of the issues that we see within the Black community here.
Yeah. Wow.
Yes.
Wow. And how, when Lauren Cunningham shared about the 7 mountains, he shared about that the Lord gave him the word family first. And I also heard, Lance Wallnau talk lately about how talking about the family unit, like the most important thing. So what are your thoughts about just the 7 different mountains? Now we are in 2021. Like, how important is that for the church, or what are your thoughts?
Well, I think it's extremely important. That message of the 7 mountains really just gave me a total paradigm shift of what it means to be a Christian. Just hearing that verse from Lance Wallnau that go out into all the world and make disciples of nations, not just of individuals, but making disciples of nations. And then talking about what that looks like. How do you disciple a nation? And then he talks about how within the framework of the 7 mountains, you have these different spheres of influence. You have the media, education, family, religion, business. Have I missed one? So basically, you have all those mountains in arts and entertainment. Yes. So you have those mountains, and as Christians, we're supposed to be influential in every one of those mountains. And we were. If you look at the history of America, you find that if you go back 70 to 100 years ago, Christians and Christianity and the Christian ethos was very influential in every sphere of culture. And then you fast forward to 2021, and you find that the church is no longer influential in any of those spheres. And that's why we're seeing all the mayhem and the destruction that is taking place. And it's really because we as the church haven't been the light that we have been called to be. And we have discipling America, doing the Great Commission of discipling America as a nation and being influential in all these spheres of culture. So that message, I think, is really powerful, and I think it's something that is eye-opening for the church, and I think that is kind of the way the church is beginning to move. I'm seeing a remnant of people that are starting to become involved in politics, being involved in education, being involved in media and entertainment and business and all these spheres, and really starting to take back territory from the enemy. And like you said, family is one of the most important ones, because right now there's a massive attack on the family. When you look at all the things that are happening in the world right now, whether, not just the Black family now it has shifted to every family from every race. There is an attack on the family. When you look at things like transgenderism, where children are being taught, there's hundreds of different genders and there's no male and female. That's an attack on family, because family is a mom and a dad and children. So if children are being taught to be confused about gender, that means that all those children that are being indoctrinated into that, they may never even get married, because they don't even know that they're a man or a woman, or whatever it is. So that's a big attack on the family that we're seeing, and that's just one little piece of it. So family is the foundation of a great society. So we really have to be influential in that sphere as the church, and really begin to start to preach about the importance of family and what a godly family looks like.
That's so good. That's so good. Your story is so inspiring. And for those that are listening, just hearing, just imagine just coming to this country with nothing, $200-300 in our pocket, working hard, making great choices, and working diligently with integrity every day to build up our own thing, build up our family, and just being obedient to the Lord, of just being called now to be a voice. So what is something we talk about, the next generation or children, how they will grow up? What is something that you could want to share with the next generation? What is like the heartbeat that, like, hey guys, like, please listen to this?
Yes. Okay.
What can you say to them?
Well, I would say that one thing that I would say is find out what the Lord has put you on this earth for. And the sooner you find that out, the better. It took me many years to sit down and say, okay, well, why am I here? Why has the Lord put me on this earth? And what is his mission for me? Because the thing that God puts in your heart, the purpose and the plan that God has for you is usually not just for you and your family. It's usually for something that affects a community, affects a city, affects a whole country, or something bigger than just your own little world. So I think living a purpose-driven life, finding out what your purpose is from a very young age, finding out what God has put in your heart to do as part of your mission on this earth at a young age, and then living it out. Finding out what it is and then living it out and fulfilling your God-given purpose. And then you will always have purpose in your life, and your life will never be boring. Your life will always have a purpose and a vision and a direction, and God will just see you through it all. So that's my message to young people.
That's so good. That's so good. And it's so important in the time we're living to become that influencer like Tate have become in politics now. And what have the Lord put in your heart? Like, what is he speaking to you? And go out and use that message, use that voice, and produce something good for the society. It's not only for the family, as she say, but it's for other people, that they can be inspired to live a more fulfilled life. That is so good.
Thank you.
And for those that want to learn more about Tate, I'm going to post the link to her book so that you can buy that on Amazon. And then you can also follow her on Twitter. She will be there a lot, I know.
Yes, it's the right Melissa is where you can find me. The right instead of left, the right Melissa.
Yeah. And I'll be putting everything in the description so you can easily connect with her. I just want to thank you. Thank you for your obedience to the Lord and just wanting to be a light here and share your message and be bold, because it's not always easy to go out and do exactly what he say. But thank you so much for doing that, and we will keep you in our prayers.
Well, thank you so much, Vibeke. Thanks so much for having me on.